There's a story on Airbnb, and we haven't talked about this in a while, but it turns out there are new rules that Montreal has put in place, and they go into effect tomorrow on Airbnb rentals. Now, the rules will bar Montreal homeowners from renting their homes for periods under 31 days outside the summer tourist season, which the city says is, for their purposes, between June 10th and September 10th. Breaking the rule will result in fines of about $1,000 per unit for a first offense, and they will go higher if there are repeated offenses. Now, this is over and above the provincial rules that it put in place as to how to list properties on Airbnb. But our next guest thinks this is not really a good idea, and it won't make a difference in a very overcrowded Montreal, rental market. Yaya Baumann is a lecturer at the University of Montreal, creator of Down with Airbnb, and is on the line. Thanks for being here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Let me begin. Clearly, if you're the creator of Down with Airbnb, you're not happy with the policy, but is the Montreal rule that goes into effect tomorrow, I mean, it's obviously designed outside of the regular tourist, season after September 10th. Is it not a step in the right direction?
I think, yes, it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, it's just that I think, and I'm not the only one, that such bylaws, the city, the Montreal bylaw, but also you talked about it in the introduction, but the Quebec law that was passed 2 years ago, it's not enough to regulate Airbnb. It's not enough to put those laws in place because there's many ways hosts, but also the platform can work around these bylaws, these legislation. So Airbnb will still have a big impact on Montreal private rental market.
Okay, so, obviously if we're going to talk about an impact on the rental market, do we have actual figures showing, here's how many homes we found that are on Airbnb, or the numbers up or down from where they used to be? I mean, do you have some data showing that?
Yeah, so if we look at the data of all the units that are available in Montreal and were available a year ago, so before the bylaw went into effect, the drop is not significant. So for the total number of listings that were or are on the platform, as of now or as of 3 days ago, if we look at the number of illegal Airbnb in Montreal, so meaning units that are in a primary residence that are available outside of the summer period, the number is around 850 listings, but that's the conservative number. I won't get into technical details, but there's many ways hosts can work around the legislation that won't show in the data, and that will make it harder for inspectors to verify the legality of the units. I'm pretty sure the number went down a little bit because some hosts shifted their units to long-term rental, so above 31 days, which is another way they can work around the current legislation.
So the idea being, again, without getting into, we know people were cheating the system, if I can call it that, and the government provincially thought, well, we can take that, we can put that or sort of change that by giving everyone a registration number. You're suggesting that hasn't worked, and there are still people who found a way to get around the system?
So there's two big ways they can find a way to work around the system. The most obvious one, and it's one we've seen a lot with the previous provincial legislation, is to have a false license number, a false CTQ number. So this is the license provided by the provincial government.
Okay.
There's still many listings around Montreal, but around the province that use false or bogus numbers. So this is one way to work around the current legislation, because it's hard to see if it's a primary residence if you don't have a real license number. So this is one way.
I got to stop you. What do you make up a license number when you say it's not legitimate? I mean, don't they have to comply with a certain sort of number of, I don't know, serial number, that kind of thing?
It's hard. One of the problems is that there's for the government to know if there's an illegal listing, it mostly relies on citizen or people denouncing the listing. So there's no proactive ways of knowing it.
Okay.
And the two ways is either they'll use false number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or they'll just use a number that was registered by someone else and use that number in their listing. So that's two ways to work around it. The other way is a bit more complicated. So the listing will be legal, but they'll just shift their units to long-term rental on the platform outside of the summer period. Some of the hosts, what they'll do, will just keep the units empty for 8 months and just rent it out during the summer period. They'll make enough money not to rent it to like
Wow.
regular renters, which is the unit stays legal, but then it's more of a moral issue.
Sure.
And it's still like remove rental units from
the market, sure.
rent market.
Which makes sense, I guess. I don't want to run out of time. What do you want to see happen here to kind of fix the situation?
So obviously, for me, the ideal solution, and we've seen that in other cities around the world, would be to have a complete ban on Airbnb and more generally on short-term rentals, because Airbnb is like the bigger problem, but there's other platforms like Vrbo or Booking.com. So that, for me, would be the only solution, and it would be adjusting to do for Montreal renters and people outside of Montreal also. Like it's a problem that's across Quebec, across Canada. It's not just a Montreal-based problem.
Is Airbnb taking any responsibility for this?
Not at all. Usually, and we've seen Airbnb find way or inviting their hosts in different cities when there's more regulation to either shift to long-term rentals, because it's a way to work around the legislation everywhere around the world. And they're actually actively inviting, so they're sending message to hosts in cities where such regulations are passed to move or to shift their rentals to long-term, so they won't have to comply with local legislations.
Okay. So
Airbnb is not taking...
Short answer, no, they're not. Okay.
No.
Hey, listen, I thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yaya Baumann over at the University of Montreal. So the new rule kicks in tomorrow, but as you heard, he's not sure this is going to make any difference at all. But if you are one of those people who have a unit, you're going to rent it out, you better be aware of the rule, right? That period ends September 10th. You can't be renting for less than 31 days. Although, as he said, maybe people get around it.